Yeah, I
plight of the
understand. Yeah, it doesn't.
Gazan
Okay, when they want a one-state solution, what do you think Jewish people think would happen in a one-state solution, where they're now a massive demographic minority?
Hold on. But before then, like we have to at least agree that negotiations are a thing that can lead to a political solution.
Not with Hamas now. What do you think would happen in a one-state solution where Jewish people became a massive demographic minority?
So what if the a part of the negotiations? I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep focusing. What if part of the negotiations is that like we have to have another election, right? And then we'll deal with whoever wins after that. Like
No, you're not going to have an election and Hamas wins again. Why would you do that? What do you think Jewish people would feel would happen in a one-state solution where they're a massive demographic minority?
sorry, if there's no point in even discussing this a one state solution. If you think the negotiations are impossible
With
like
Hamas,
if
a
Hamas,
Sunni organization that says they want to destroy all Jews. Yes, you cannot have a negotiation with them. Correct.
Okay, so all right. How about this, right? So you just destroy Hamas, you destroy those key targets, right? That you were referring to, and that apparently degrades the organization so that it can't reform. Okay, great. So then after that, will you begin a negotiation? So Hamas is gone. Israel has achieved its goal. After that, do negotiations begin?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the equitable way this ends. Do you think that this administration in Israel that would be their goal? That's even likely.
I mean, I'm sure people around them will try to push them into it. But I'm curious, what do you think Jews would think would happen to them in a one-state solution where they're a demographic minority?
Do you
Never
think?
gonna answer this question.
I think they would think the same thing that white individuals thought at the end of the Civil War. That with all these black individuals coming through, they're going to do the same thing to us that we're going to do to them.
What percentage of the population are black people?
There was a massive percentage of the population.
Not what? Really?
Time.
What?
At the time, yeah, at the time there's a massive percentage of the population are black people. But the fear was that black individuals that formerly enslaved would do the same thing to white people that they had done to them. That was the fear, or from a portion of the population. So I can understand that individuals might be afraid in Israel of what integration might look like. I get that fear, and it's a fear that you have to deal with. How do you deal with that? It starts with negotiations. It starts with discussing things. This is whatever the solution is not one that happens overnight. A one-state solution or a two-state solution isn't a thing that'll happen overnight. It'll be a process. We have to actually start allow that process to begin. We have to show, like, to change those poll numbers that you quoted previously. We have to
Okay, so real quick,
that
it
the
looks like
political-
22% of people in 1860 in the United States were black.
Yeah, and we have
22%.
There's
Okay.
a huge portion of the population.
22% were black. If we were to make a one-state solution, I think like 30 to 40% of the population would be Jewish. 60 to 70% would be Palestinian.
Sure. If you think it was if it was 60% of the population were black during the after the Civil War, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think black people would have conquered white people? Or
I'm not
enslaved
sure.
them?
Did black people have a government where they said their goal was to massacre all white people?
I mean, there were different black nationalist groups that.
Really? Was there
There were
polling
different
data that
groups.
showed the majority
There were- I
of
mean, there were
the
different
majority of
resistance
black
groups
people
that
wanted to
actually-
kill? Were the majority
there
of
were-
black people wanted to kill all white people?
Was there? I don't know. Was there polling data at the end of the Civil War? Actually, I don't know. Was there polling data? Was that a thing at the end of the Civil War?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Yeah,
We
so
didn't do polls were invented in
but I'm
1925 or whatever.
I'm
There was
saying
no.
that there was a large population
Mm-hmm.
that had just suffered an incredible trauma, right? Especially, I'll leave that one for now. But they just suffered an incredible trauma, and the thought was that they would enact that trauma onto the rest of the population.
I don't know if
but-
anybody thought that, did they? Was that even a thought that people had?
Yeah, actually. Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, I might just be uneducated. I might not know about that.
Absolutely. But all right, I got.
So in the United States, there were huge
That's right.
fears that, like legitimate fears, not just from people that actually owned plantations, but there were legitimate fears in white America that like the American black person would rise up and all come together and kill white people.
Sorry, what do you count as a legitimate fear? I don't think it was a legitimate fear, but like, what is like, what's your standard for a legitimate fear now? I
Well, a
don't.
legitimate fear in Israel might be that Hamas won an election and that the majority of Palestinians seem to support violent resistance against Israel, and that historically every other Arab country in the region has tried to kill everybody in Israel and destroy the entire country. That might be like a legitimate fear. Is there anything equivalent to that with slaves in the United States?
I mean, there were actual violent revolutions within America, right? Where they like were all white people. So that's the thing that happened,
What,
right?
like, can you give me one? I don't know any.
Okay, yeah. Violent slave revolts.
I know
Um,
there's one that the Finkelstein likes to bring up all the fucking time, but I forget it.
yeah, they're. I that's
Is it
yeah.
that, yeah, the Nat Turner shit? How many people died in that?
Yeah. I think it was put down relatively quickly. But slave rebellion. It's
They killed between
no,
55 and 65 white people. This was the deadliest slave revolt in U.S. history.
yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, there was the point is that there were examples of slaves masters afterwards. Um, so
Killing their masters?
yes, they're masters. Yeah, they're
So not
masters.
all white people?
Oh no! That's what you're asking me. No, like I mean, like killing white people. Period. But I mean, I was starting with a smaller subset. Sorry, but yeah.
Okay, but it seems like for Palestinians, they legitimately believe that Israel shouldn't exist as a country, that all of the Israelis there are foreign invaders. So why do you think this would look like a small scale thing? If a one state solution was made, you don't think Jewish people might feel afraid at being a super demographic minority surrounded by a bunch of other people that seem to want them gone?
Yeah, I would imagine they would feel afraid. But the way that we change minds, the way that we change minds is through peaceful negotiations, right? Like the mindset of the Palestinians isn't going to change. I'm going to give you. I'm going to
Let's
give
say
you.
that is the way
Hold
to
on, hold on.
change minds. Let's say that is
I'm
the way
going
to
to
change
give
minds.
you.
Wait, why don't we ever put any of the onus on this on Hamas? Maybe you should stop being violent. Is that really that impossible?
Agreed. Agreed. And that's what's.
Okay,
And that
so
involves negotiations.
maybe, no, it
Agreed.
doesn't. No,
But
no,
it's
no, no.
not.
It doesn't involve. You don't have to negotiate. Nobody has to negotiate with Hamas for them to stop shooting rockets into Israel every single day. They don't need a negotiation for that. They could just stop that.
Of course they do.
Why do they need? They can't just stop. They can't just not do that.
If there is no political path, if there's no political path to peace, then the only path is
The
violence,
only reason
right?
there's not
So
a
yes,
political path to peace because the only path they want is the exportation, essentially, of like most of the people living in Israel. They want to own from river to the sea. They want all of it to be Palestine. Of course, that's not a political path.
um, the
Hamas has been shooting rockets for 20 years. Doesn't seem like it's helped them so far. Why would they keep down that path?
because there's no other path.
Really?
Because there's
What
no.
about the Oslo Accords in '93? What about Camp David in 2000? Seems like there were paths, but they got shot down, and then all they've done is shoot rockets ever since. Do you think the situation for them has gotten better or worse in the last 20 years? The Gaza Strip.
Okay. Sorry. Back to you. Please repeat what you said. I
Do
do
you think it's
apologize.
gotten better or worse for the Gaza Strip in the past 20 years with nonstop rocket attacks? Do you think it's gotten better or worse for them?
I think it's probably gotten worse. But
So it
so
seems like
I'm
that's
not
not
saying.
working. So
Yeah. Which which goes back to what I'm saying previously. It's 100% in line with what I'm saying previously. Violence isn't going to end this,
so
right?
what
Violence
got
from
what when
neither
were they the
side
so when were they the
isn't going to end
closest
this.
when were they the closest to a peaceful settlement? Is it the
Um,
answer is in the year 2000 when they were trying to negotiate at Camp David when they were being peaceful?
yeah, but if the other side doesn't accept, if the other side doesn't feel that it's equitable, or if the political leadership at that one moment in time simply doesn't accept that, right? Does that mean that? Well, I guess that we should cut off all political avenues? Is that the answer? So they reject these series of deals, right? They reject these series of deals. Does that mean that we end the political avenue?
Well, it seems like the Palestinians aren't interested in anything that doesn't involve a one-state solution. So yeah, Israel will never want to accept that, and they shouldn't. So yeah, they should keep doing what they're doing. If Palestine doesn't want to come to the table for a two-state solution, then yeah, Israel has no obligation to respond to that.
But is that the case? Like, so it seems like the argument is always, well, there were these deals. Now some of these deals were simply completely fucking unfair, right? We saw maps like the last deal that happened during the Trump administration, right? Like that was just awful, right? But you could say, well, there's these other deals, and we find I as an outsider feel that this is a more acceptable deal. Okay, maybe it is. um, but if that deal, if that deal is shot down, does that mean that we end this? That negotiations must end, and I guess we just live with this state of constant violence.
Why is the onus always on Israel to come to the table and be chill? Why can't the onus ever be on Hamas or the Palestinians?
Uh, what do you mean by be chill?
As in, not be shooting rockets every single day from the Gaza Strip.
No, 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 no. Sorry, no. I'm saying, but Israel being chill. What do you mean by that?
Why are we saying that Israel has to come to the table and be willing to make a whole bunch of concessions to fix this issue?
Because Israel has the power here, right? Like
So?
they have the international support.
Yeah, but they didn't get the power
They
by
have
giving in to people launching terrorist attacks against them. They got the power by asserting its military might in the Middle East.